All right, esters. Is it on? All right, so before we talk about esters, I have to explain to you a little bit about ions, and then we'll get into them. So let's start with that. So these would be like organic ions, kind of like acetate ions like that, and we need to name them. So it'll be the same rules as with everything else. So let's start off with the simplest version. So if I put a hydrogen here on this oxygen, I would have methanoic acid. But instead, I'm going to pretend the hydrogen left and give it a little minus sign. So like if I put methanoic acid in water, the hydrogen ionizes, goes off by itself. And then what I'm left with is this ion here. And this ion is going to be called ethanoate. You knew it was going to start with a meth, right? Obviously. And the formula is CHO2 minus. Next one's going to have 2 carbons, same ending, and the hydrogens on this one. Nothing really special here.
Why'd you put a negative on the O?
Because there's an oxygen that only has 1 bond. So if this was ethanoic acid or acetic acid, it would have a hydrogen. But when we mix it in water, that hydrogen goes off by itself, becomes H+, so it doesn't take the electron with it, which means this thing has an extra electron as a minus. All right. What's this one going to be called? Anybody? All right, let's write the formula first. C2. Thank you. H3. And what's that called?
But the other one is not a negative, so why'd you make it negative?
Jaha, en roll negative extra O.
No. The other O. The double
No,
bond
this one's
O.
not. This
So-
one's, it only has 1 bond, so it's got the extra unpaired electron.
I know that, but
Or I should
that
say paired electron.
that one is a negative.
Uh-huh.
So why don't you just put O and then O negative? Because
Let's see
the
how-
double bond O is not a negative.
No, just the negatives for the whole thing. It's just saying somewhere on there there's a minus charge. There's an extra electron somewhere on this molecule. So we just put a minus here. Okay. All right. What's this going to be called?
Ethanoate.
Yeah. What's another name for this? Acetate. Acetate, right? That's number 2 on your list of polyatomic ions on page 257. You've written it 4,000 times. You should know acetate. Anyway, but ethanoate would be the name we would use if we're using the proper naming system. All right, let's do one more. C. Same thing. And just fill in the hydrogens. And this one's big enough that I'll draw it the old way also, or the new way also. So that would look like this, propane with oxygen, and this gets a minus charge. So these
Wait,
two,
what?
this is this. Right? If you get confused, just put little circles here, right? There's a carbon, that's the first one. There's a carbon, that's number 2. There's a carbon, that's number 3.
I don't like these. I like the C's better.
But this is so much less writing. I mean, if I had to write,
I
you
like the
know,
skeletal structure better.
octane, you know, rather than write 16 hydrogen, it's so much easier.
I'd rather write 16 hydrogen on too.
Well, you can do that, and
That
I'm okay with that.
confusing.
The formula for this? That was
negative.
H5, yeah. And this is going to be called propanoate. Okay, so that's how it goes for the
I'm
ions.
scared for our test. When's our test on?
I don't know, like a week or so.
Oh man.
That might be, I might do the final first and then do the test on this later, or something like that. The final I want to do next week. Anyway, we'll get to that later. So for esters, we're going to have one of these ions as part of the ester. So an ester is going to look like this. This is like the generic version. it'll be, you'll have an R group, right? Here's your R group, just some carbons, right? R group. Attached to a carbon, an oxygen, and an oxygen.
Oh, that's so much easier.
So this is your ion, but then on the other side, you're gonna have another R group. So some more carbons. R is just a chain of carbons. 1, 2, 3, 57 carbons, doesn't matter. It's X. It's a certain number of carbons. So it changes depending on which one it is. So for that one, R is 2 carbons. For that one, R is 1 carbon. For that one, it's just a hydrogen. All right, so when we do this, and I'm going to show you in a second, I'll give you some examples. We're going to divide this into 2 pieces, and we're going to have an ion and then another side group. And we're going to name them 2, and that's how we'll name the esters. So let's do that now, and we'll see if we can make some sense of this. So let's do, all right, well, the simplest one, I guess, would be like this. Carbon. So actually, this is the same thing that was already here, methanoate, right? And then I'm going to attach on the other side 1 carbon. Okay, so this is the smallest ester you can make. And what we're going to do when we name esters is this. We're going to find the side, we're going to find the oxygen with single bonds on both sides, right? And we're going to cut a line through one of those bonds so that both the oxygens are on the same side. So we're going to put a line right through here, okay? And so we're going to have 2 separate parts, and we're going to name those 2 parts. So this part here, I just told you how to name. This is methanoate. And then this part you already know how to name. We've been doing that for a couple days. This is just methyl. Now you're always going to name the alkyl group first and the ion second. So it's going to be methyl methanoate.
That's a crazy way.
So with every ester, you're just going to have 2 parts. One part's going to be an alkyl group, just a chain of carbons, and one part's going to be an ion. It'll have the 2 oxygens with it. Let's, I should write the formula down, right? C2,
I'm confused now.
H4, O2. Let's do one more first, then you can ask your question.
I don't have a question.
You will, when I'm done with the next one. All right? Let's add it to you. All right. So let's do 1, 2, O, O. Okay, so that part's going to be the ion, and then we're going to have some carbons coming off of here too. Let's do 3 of them. And then fill in everything, of course. And if you want, we could draw it. Yeah, like that. All right. So first thing you need to do when you look at one of these is figure out where you got to slice it at. The line has to go right through here. Right? There's the single bonded oxygen, so we cut it so that both oxygens are on one side. What is this part called?
R.
It is R, but that's just something general. This is but it's a side group, so it's not propane.
Open up.
Propyl.
Yeah,
It's
with
just
the
carbons.
Y, with the
No,
L.
without the oxygen, it's just propyl. All right, and now this whole thing, what's this called?
Methane.
How many carbons does it have?
3. I mean 2.
So what's it got to start with?
F.
F. Say it? Ethanoate.
With that one, there's a family.
Yeah, that's this piece here.
What about alphabetical order?
No, we named the alkyl group, then we named the ion. Always in that order.
Oh my goodness.
Let's do one more.
Oh, no, wait. Let me
Yes.
copy that one first
Okay.
before you say it.
Yeah, taking notes helps. Other questions while I wait for one person to write this down?
She's listening first and then she's copying it down. That's how she learns.
You can put the.
Oh yeah, wait, what's the formula here? C5?
When I draw it, do I have to like make the O go like slanted? Or
I
can
don't
I
care.
draw it in a
If you
straight
want to do
line?
it straight, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm not real picky about how these things are drawn. H8?
I don't know.
10?
Yeah, 10.
7? Thank you, 10. H10. Oh, it's good. Okay, so there's the formula. Alright, let's do one more. Huh?
No, just kidding.
Okay. Alright, let's do.
Oh, that's because I got it.
There we go. Okay. 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So that's Penton O or whatever. YL.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna slice it there. This is gonna be called pentyl.
And then that is propanol 8, whatever.
Yep. The whole thing will be, yeah, I guess I'll write it here. Pentyl propanoate. Somebody want to tell me what the formula is? Is it just double? Is that what we're getting? Double, right? 16?
16, yeah.
So,
Is there one extra line on the skeleton structure?
okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But remember, this is not a carbon here because on this end is the oxygen. And then, of course, here we got the 1, 2, 3. What else? You good?
Yeah.
Want me to do more?
No.
All right. Sure?
Yes.
All right.
I've come to a conclusion that I'm only allowed to use,
Do it right now.
if I use front and back of from here until the rest of the year.
Like these,
No, I'm just kidding.
No, I did that.
You will use as many pages as you need to. JJ, shut that up, please.
Stop.
You should never even answer to him because he said.
Who's that girl back